Question, are you even a real photographer if you don't have one of these cups? Hey, what's going on guys? My name's Stephen Griffin, and today we're going to be talking all about my 2019 16-inch MacBook Pro. I've had this thing for about a month now, so I have a pretty good idea of what I like about it, and I have a pretty good idea of the smallest of things that I don't. So I'm super excited to go more in depth about that, and the real reason I'm making this video is I also want to document my transition from my 2014 13-inch MacBook Pro to this 2019 behemoth. It's not that big. It's kind of big. That's what she said. Sorry. Anyways, we're gonna go in depth about that because I know a lot of you guys are holding on to these older MacBooks, and I'm sure just like me, you saw this bad boy and you were like, and hence you're here. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this review. So, first things first, I feel like we have to talk about the screen because, let's face it, this is, the main reason a lot of you guys are going to be upgrading to this new machine is just that extra inch of real estate. Now, coming from a 13-inch MacBook, the jump in screen size is pretty impressive. I used to sit just like an inch away from my old laptop screen whenever I was editing pictures and videos to try and see all that detail. And you know what, I've probably burned my retinas out doing that. So I'm really glad that with this new 16-inch Retina display that I can sit a comfortable and probably safe distance away from my screen when I edit. And speaking of the screen, the color accuracy is of course pretty spot on. When I transfer images straight to my phone, I know that's not the best metric when it comes to color accuracy, but it's very identical. And for me personally, I haven't found a need to calibrate this screen. It's perfect right out of the box. So another reason this display is phenomenal. Another thing worth mentioning is just the keyboard on this latest iteration is pretty great. Coming from a 2014 MacBook, I don't have a strong opinion on the keyboard. However, I have had the opportunity to try the butterfly switch keys, and I knew right away that I just wasn't a huge fan. I like my keyboard to be super clicky. I type all day, every single day, so the keyboard is kind of an important factor for me. Not so much in photography and videography, but hey, if you're gonna be typing all the time, you might as well have a decent keyboard. So it was nice to see that in between my 2014 and the 2019 versions of the MacBook, the keyboard is, it's relatively identical. The scissor switch mechanism, it's tried, it's true, and it works. And lucky for me, I dodged that whole butterfly failing keyboard fiasco that Apple had to go through. And a couple of you guys had to go through too. My condolences. But overall, the keyboard, great. Super cool. Not that important, kind of important, pretty important, but not the most important. Moving on. And since we're still just talking about the overall appearance and design of this laptop, I have to give Apple props on the Force Touch trackpad thingy. It is awesome. Coming from a 2014 MacBook, you have this very, very small trackpad, and of course you have to press at the bottom left and right hand corners in order to select things. With this new trackpad, you can press anywhere, which is very weird getting used to when you're transitioning from this older version MacBook. I sometimes still find myself pressing at the lower corners of the trackpad even though I don't need to. And let me just say that the size, although a little ridiculous in regards to the trackpad, I do enjoy it, especially given the fact that I can press anywhere on the trackpad to select things. And what I've found is this just makes one-handed operation that much easier. So you don't need both hands. So that way you can grip your lens coffee cup in one hand and you can be editing with the other. So kudos to Apple. I know that that's nothing new, but this is my first time really playing around with that and I love it. Can't go back. Another thing I really love about this laptop is the speakers. The speakers, like you've probably seen or heard in a bunch of other reviews, are awesome. You can leave your Bose speakers at home because this thing will definitely help you be the life of the party. Walk into the party with this thing on your shoulder, you are gonna be the guy. No, but seriously, the speakers are really, really good. I've found myself ditching my headphones when appropriate and just listening to the speakers, and they're very loud, very powerful, very bassy. So kudos to Apple on creating this super, super incredibly amazing speaker system in this laptop. Another cool thing worth mentioning about this laptop is just the size, because even though they were able to increase the screen size, they did not have to alter the dimensions as much. So that basically means that if you have a 15-inch MacBook Pro, you're not going to have to buy a new carrying case or a new laptop bag to fit this bad boy in it. Unfortunately, I had a 13-inch, so I had no choice but to purchase a brand new laptop case. This is just a, what is this, a PKG or something like that. I got it at Best Buy, it was $100, but I definitely do miss my old leather messenger bag that I carried my 13-inch around everywhere in. What are you gonna do? It's just one of those small trade-offs. But hey, if you have a 15-inch MacBook, you can rest assured that this will fit. Well, I've gone over a lot of the things that I like about this machine, so I guess I should probably go into some of the things that I'm not a huge fan of. Apple rates the battery on this thing, I think it's like 11 hours, I don't know for certain, but it's definitely, it feels kind of similar to my older MacBook. I know there's a difference, guys. I know that there has to be, you know, some sort of improvement here, but it's just, it wasn't big enough to notice. My battery definitely still drains just as quickly. In fact, it was fully charged when I started filming this, and it's already down to 60%. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how quickly this thing can drain. So definitely keep that bitch plugged up. And another thing is, with this latest iteration of MacBook, they really improved the cooling system, and that actually allows you to milk the processor and get some more juice out of it, considering it does use the same processor from last year. But with that being said, this thing gets pretty fucking hot. And I'm not just being a drama queen. Granted, it's my fault for editing a lot in my boxers, but when I do, I have found myself having to take this laptop out of my lap because it just gets too hot and it starts to burn my legs. So I guess the moral of the story is just don't edit in your lap if you don't have pants on. Yeah. Now, I did find that it only really got super hot and the fans only went full speed when I was processing videos. But speaking of videos, this may be disappointing to some and not surprising to people who are technically savvy, but you know, when you're editing these large video files, do expect some lag. Even though this is the higher end base model, you're still gonna kind of run into, you know, just render issues. You're gonna have to pause and you're gonna have to let it catch up. It's not gonna be able to keep up with you all the way. I think for the average content creator like myself, it's not an issue, and you just need to employ just a small amount of patience. I think that in regards to the performance of my older MacBook though, this is a drastic improvement, especially in the video department. In regards to Lightroom and Photoshop, it's not as noticeable, the jump in performance, but with video, I really didn't see too many hiccups. It's only when I layered a bunch of videos on top of each other, applied some corrections, that it started to kind of choke up. So another thing worth mentioning when we're comparing my older MacBook with the newer one is the charger. Guys, I loved the Maglock chargers, and I even loved the idea that you can just wrap it up. It's really compact and it makes, you know, transporting this charger super easy. Granted, you can kind of see that this cord has seen better days from wrapping it and unwrapping it so many times, but you best believe that it works. And the Maglock technology has saved my ass so many times when I tripped over the cord that it really is a disappointment that Apple did not implement that into their newer chargers. Speaking of their newer chargers, you gotta look at this. You got the block, and you got your USB-C. You gotta assemble this thing. So yeah, this compared to this, I am just super disappointed with this newer charger. I get it, this is more powerful, whatever, but this is just almost unacceptable. And I get that it's cool that you can charge your laptop while hooking up, you know, an external display with this USB-C, but you know what, Apple, you done goofed. This was perfect. This was revolutionary, and now we have this cumbersome block and clusterfuck of cords that we are responsible for managing whenever we pack up and go. Again, Apple, you dropped the ball. I wish you guys would go back. I don't foresee you guys doing so. That sucks. So regarding my transition from my 2014 MacBook to the new MacBook Pro, one hurdle was of course the USB Type-C. Connectors all around this thing, of course, they got rid of all the other ports, which makes it really inconvenient for content creators like myself. We are forced to buy one of these adapters. And this adapter in particular is the hyperdrive. And personally, I don't recommend it. When you plug this thing in and the laptop isn't flush, you'll find that the connectors actually bend, which is a little concerning when you're transferring irreplaceable, valuable information, and this is the middleman. So what I would personally recommend is getting an adapter that has a cord that doesn't easily bend. You know, maybe this is just me being anal, but I really don't trust this thing, and I feel like it's only a matter of time before this thing craps out on me. In addition to that, whenever you plug in a USB, like say from like a Lacy drive, you'll find that it's really difficult to kind of push that in there, and realistically you have to unplug this thing from your laptop to unplug the USB because it really wants to stick in there. This may get better with time, but I just don't get it. Look for something else. I promise there's better options out there. I would definitely go with a corded adapter instead of the dual connections. And if you do go the dual connection route, I would just not go for the hyperdrive. I'd look for something a little bit more robust. Now, luckily, a lot of solid state drives and a lot of external hard drives do come with USB-C connectors just by default now, and oftentimes you can actually configure that when you're purchasing it. Luckily, we are taking the right steps there, but just the SD card factor, you're definitely going to need one of these adapters. Now, one of the only other things that I don't like about this laptop, and I did say that the list was very small, is actually a technical issue that a viewer brought up in my unboxing video. He wanted me to test it out. He said that when you let the laptop sleep for a few hours and then you open it back up, you'll find that the screen colors are all wonky and fucky. Almost as if he jinxed it, or I jinxed it, or however the universe works. I left my laptop idle for a few hours and I came back, and when I flipped it back up, the screen colors were fucky. I don't understand why this is happening. Everything's up to date, but what I found I had to do is I had to go into system preferences, I had to go to display settings, and I actually had to manually change the color profile to something else and then change it back in order to resolve it. But it's definitely concerning and it's definitely annoying. So I'm not sure what the official word is from Apple on this issue, but I definitely wanted to bring it up because good call whoever brought that up, because yes, I am experiencing that issue with this MacBook. Well guys, I think that that's gonna about do it for this video. I apologize that it wasn't as organized and structured as my other review, but honestly, I am just super grateful that I was able to sit down and give you guys my thoughts on transitioning from my older 2014 to the latest and greatest. It's definitely been a struggle this past month just finding some free time to do this, so I really appreciate your patience, and I really appreciate the incredible feedback that I got on my last video. So speaking of which, please don't forget to like, subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. I know I didn't go nearly as in depth as I wanted to, so please feel free to leave a comment down below and I will certainly get to it. Well, I'm getting a call. I think that that's gonna about do it, so I will catch you guys around. Hey, what's up?
I am here.
You are here? Okay.
I am here.
Well, I just wrapped up this video, so that works out perfect.
Steven, you can get out of character.
Just blow my cover. It was all a facade.
I'm coming to the bed. The back of the bed.
Okay, well, she hung up.